Hi, welcome to the Vaguely Anime Podcast. I am one of the hosts this afternoon, Michael, followed by other Culture Corner host, Sage.
Hi.
And we're talking about what? What the hell did you say that we should talk about before this episode?
Oh, Mad Max, since I just watched Furiosa.
Right. Have you watched the others?
So I watched the first Mad Max movie and then the second one. I think the only one I haven't seen is the third, Beyond Thunder.
Thunderdome?
Yeah, I think that's the only one I haven't seen.
Which is arguably the worst.
Although I will be honest, so the first one I watched was Fury Road.
Quite a lot of people.
Which, like...
Same with me.
Because the original trilogy was before my time, right?
Yeah, the first time I watched any of them was before Furiosa, before it came out. I was like, all right, I'm going to watch all of them.
But yeah, so I watched... I'm pretty sure I saw that in theaters, Fury Road, which was a great theater experience.
I'm pretty sure I saw it a lot of times in theaters.
And then right before Furiosa, I watched the first and second Mad Max movies.
But not the third?
I don't know why I didn't watch the third one. The first movie, I don't know what I was like expecting going into it, but it was just a bonkers experience.
It's like, because you could tell they had absolutely no money.
Yeah.
And so it's really just like the apocalypse just happened.
Yeah.
And people are like kind of still living their lives, but like shit's a little different.
Yeah.
But like for the most part, it's all right. Like, you know, like we were doing better, but like we're still getting by.
It was like the general viewing experience was like, oh, here's a calm scene, right? Where it's like, oh, Max and his wife and baby or whatever, they're just kind of hanging out. And then, like, with almost no transition into the next scene is like balls to the walls, insane car chases.
Yeah.
Like, the amount of crashes in the opening car chase, I was like, what the fuck is going on right now?
But like, the difference between 1 and 2 is so stark.
Oh my god, I know, right? Because 2
slaps.
2 was actually really good, and 2 feels more in the world of like what I already knew to be like the Mad Max world, if that makes sense.
Fury
since my
Road,
introduction was Fury Road.
Yeah, Fury Road is just Mad Max 2, but with more money and better technology.
Yeah.
It's the same movie. It's the same premise for the most part.
Yeah.
Like, it's all kind of doing the same thing.
Except, I guess the biggest difference is like Fury Road has like the more wives escapee plot.
Yeah, but like essentially, 2 is just proto Fury Road.
Yeah.
But it's still good. Like, that's not to like diminish it. By
No, 2 I thought
Fury Road.
I thought 2 was really enjoyable. I really liked I don't remember his name, but the guy with like the bicycle helicopter.
Oh yeah, the gyrocopter guy.
Yeah, with the snakes.
Yeah.
I really liked him. He was funny. And I don't know, like it was just such an enjoyable movie. Like, it was so goofy, but like incredible at the same time. And then the villains, I was like, I don't know at what point in like the costuming department between the first Mad Max and the second Mad Max movie where they were like, no, we gotta go all in.
They just got more money.
Like the costuming for like the Gastown people, I was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, you want to differentiate their like color palettes or whatever. But then just like the stark difference between them and like the villain gang with the all black leather, I'm like, where are y'all getting hair dye?
Well,
because they all have like the main guy who's like against Max with the bright pink mohawk. Like,
yeah.
it was just so good. I loved it.
Well, and then the second movie where it's like the enemies are all like
BDSM, like leather gear. It's so funny.
It rocks.
Because, and I think it's so interesting, like seeing that translation of like that costuming and then it evolving to like what we see in Fury Road and Furiosa. Because I'm like, they're on the same page, but it's like more elevated in terms of like overall world building aesthetics, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Because I'm looking at my list of what I rated all those movies, and I have Mad Max 1 as last in ranking for all of them, which I think most people would put Thunderdome last from what I generally hear about people's opinions on Thunderdome. But like Mad Max is like, I see what they were going for, and I respect it a lot for it being like a true guerrilla made film because they had permits for nothing.
Yeah.
So they would just show up to a place, be like, all right, go, get the camera, and then everyone would leave before the cops showed up. And then they'd have to do that consistently to constantly outrun the cops.
It seems like such stressful like filmmaking environment, but then I was watching some behind the scenes for Fury Road, and even that seems like a stressful environment to try to be filming these scenes in.
Yeah.
Like, it just seems crazy because you have so many cars, so many motorcycles, guys just doing all sorts of crazy shit, explosions and fire effects everywhere. I'm like, that seems like absolute chaos.
Yeah, Fury Road is still my favorite out of all of them because although I still think Furiosa is fantastic, I had more problems with it. I'm also annoyed about how much CG I noticed versus everything else feeling practical and like looking practical in
Fury Road.
Where there was a lot of times where I was like, that's clearly not a real person. That's clearly not actually happening.
I kind of felt the same. And there was certain things in Furiosa where I was like,
all women, insanely good snipers though. Love that lore.
Canon.
Yeah, canon into the Mad Max universe. All women, dead eyes.
Yeah. No, there were a couple of moments in Furiosa where I was like, I understand, I guess, why you chose to go this way, but like, you did it in a very hand wavy way where that wasn't a thing previously, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, she escapes the wives, like, holding cell, essentially, in the vault. And we get
Spoilers, by the way.
Oh, yeah,
Furiosa.
sorry. But we get no reaction from a Morton Joe.
Yeah.
Which, based off of what we'd seen previously, it's not like it's a different guy.
Yeah.
Because he's still himself in Fury Road. It seems like there would have been something that came up, or, like, the son would have gotten in trouble.
Yeah.
For like, you know, trying to do stuff and be weird.
I think the best part of the movie is Chris Hemsworth's.
Oh my god, he's so funny.
Yeah, like he is fantastic. Demetrius. I think he's like the best part of the movie. Anya Taylor-Joy is also fantastic. The amount of eye per face that woman has to act with her eyes.
Yeah.
Is insane. But like, I don't know, like the story was a little less interesting, and I also can never decide how I feel about movies with title cards, with like chapters. I can never decide if I like that or not. Because on the one hand, I'm like, it's a cool style, and I like that it's like a way to jump time. But on the other hand, it always pulls me out of the movie.
I think I didn't feel so like sometimes I do get annoyed by it, like in the Snyder's Justice League, those chapter title cards, because it does mean nothing, you know, they're just there to be there. So I think when you try to use it as like just flair or like you want to seem sophisticated, I think that's annoying. But like in terms of in this, because it has to cover so much ground, I think it's okay, and it kind of works with the general storytelling. I'm like, it didn't bother me when I was watching it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, like again, because I'm looking at my review, like it's not like I like docked it points for it. It's just like something I notice every time chapter things pop up in a movie where I'm like, I can never decide if I like you or not. Like I don't know. It's always something where I'm just like, I don't know.
I think it depends how it's used.
Yeah. But like my biggest problem with the movie was mostly like noticing more of the CGI and stuff that like even like, because it was weird to me. Like noticing CGI is one thing, that's whatever. But like noticing CGI for things that very easily, seemingly could have been done practically, and it seems like you just didn't.
Right.
And that's like where I'm like, but why though? Where like especially where Fury Road is like touted for its like practical,
right? Because it's so much practical effects.
And the use of visual effects is just there to enhance, not. And so like, I don't know. It was my like one big problem with the movie, and then also the story's pacing sometimes where I was like, all right, like, what's the point of this? Can we move on a little bit? Like,
I feel like for me it wasn't even so much the pacing, but I did feel like there were either certain beats or like I needed certain character motivations to happen to like be better connective tissue for like each stage of her life. Because sometimes it just felt like when we open with her in the green place, right? And then she gets yanked. All of that is fine. But then when she's like from there to her with Dementis, all of that was fine. But then like her with Immortan Joe's crew, but when she's still pretty young, like it just felt
there's like, I feel like it at times the pacing's kind of clunky. And then there's also sometimes it's kind of hard to read the timeline of things. Where like even though you get the chapter parts, like it within the chapters, you're like, sometimes there's like jumps, and you're like, where is this? When is this? Sometimes like one time it went backwards, I think, and you're like, oh wait, this is prior to the other thing, and you're just like, there's weird jumps in things where you're like, you can't tell how much time has passed or where. And so like I think one of them is when she leaves the brides. And then it just kind of jumps, and you're like, wait, how much time has passed here?
Well, so we see her escape from the vault.
Yeah.
And they do the whole like, oh, she's hiding, and then when it pans to her again, she's gone thing, which I always have hated. Unless it's something where it's actively supernatural. That's just a trope in general filmmaking that bothers me. Because I'm like...
It does for anything that's not Batman.
But that's part of Batman's thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, for the most part, we were like, how the fuck did you get out of there?
If you're gonna set your story in certain, right, like real life physical limitations, the disappearing act is annoying to me.
Yeah.
But so she does the disappearing act, and then she's just pretending to be a boy. But I'm like, how long have you been pretending to be a boy? And also, why is there no search for like when she went missing? Or did that happen, but we just see it like, is that off screen?
Yeah.
You know, like the translation of phases
like,
seems
okay.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, I think it's so funny that she has like the younger actress playing Furiosa. I was like, okay, passable for a young boy, maybe 10-year-old boy. That's fine. Mm-hmm. But then when it transitions into like Anya Taylor-Joy being a boy, I'm like, there's no way. There's no way.
I mean, look, Anya Taylor-Joy, very attractive.
I was gonna.
Not like she's like stacked.
No, it's not even that. Her,
like,
I just think her facial features are.
Doesn't she mostly keep her face covered?
But I don't know. I just feel like she just gives off very like feminine energy.
Just be a very effeminate boy.
But I was like, there's no way they think you're a boy. Like, you're not getting away with that.
Don't they always say that she hides herself? Because she's like disfigured, like she as a guy is like disfigured or something.
Well, they say that she's mute.
Oh, yeah.
So she never has to talk.
Right.
So that's one like check that like her voice won't give her away.
Yeah, and then I mean, a lot of the war boys are fucking dying of cancer, so like, you know.
But what if they notice that she's not? Because it's the whole thing. She's like a full life human.
Yeah, but she always keeps the like white paint on, or the black paint, one of those two. I don't fucking remember.
I don't know, because when she's she does the black like forehead paint.
Yeah.
When she joins not Max.
Yeah.
Jack or whatever his name is. I don't actually remember.
I don't either.
And it's weird because does she join as herself?
She joins as probably another identity.
Because this is actually what was confusing me while I was watching it, because
He probably was like, I found this person they helped. So
right.
they're joining me.
I that's what I was assuming happened as well. But in Fury Road, she's Furiosa
Yeah.
to Immortan Joe as her adult
Yeah,
self,
she takes
part of
that
his
name.
crew.
Yeah.
It takes it. That was her name the whole time.
Well, yeah, I know, but like she makes it clear once she starts joining him, doesn't she? Doesn't she say? It's been a minute. I watched it when it came out, but doesn't she claim? Doesn't she say her name to him? So he probably just is like, I found this person. This is Furiosa. They're joining me.
Maybe. I don't know. Maybe I was just thinking about it wrong because I just assumed they knew her name in the movie.
No, I don't think they ever knew her
Does
name.
Dementis know her name?
I don't think Dementis knows her name.
Or maybe she just never says it then.
Yeah. I don't think she says it
That
until...
that was confusing me
she
because I was
tells
like,
him.
wait, how does he not realize?
Yeah.
You
But
know?
at some point, the green place gets fucking ruined.
Yeah, it gets freaking
At some
annihilated.
point.
Yeah.
Somehow.
Off screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like also entirely her fault. She should just... Well, I don't know why you went anywhere near those people.
Seriously. Like you're going to tell your friend, oh, just stay here, BRB?
Yeah.
Just leave it. Go tell the adults.
And they'll snipe them, and then that's it. Problem solved.
Exactly. Although I did really enjoy that like motorcycle chase through the desert.
Kept going.
Oh my god.
I don't know how she kept tracking them. But it was impressive.
It was.
Like, cause like once the sand started going over, and she's like, nope, still got it. And she would just keep sniping at them from a distance, and you're like, damn.
Yo, the sniping was insane.
Again, every woman crack shot. Apparently, the apocalypse makes every woman lock in.
You get born with extra good sniping skills.
No. Like bombs drop, all women like a sleeper agent activate.
Maybe it's because they are from the green place, so they have all like the nourishment and good stuff, so they can just be extra good at things because their bodies are.
Every woman. Bomb drops, sleeper cells wake up, can suddenly snipe. Every woman on the planet.
They're all sleeper agents.
Yeah, the bomb goes off, and all of a sudden they're like, I know how to shoot people from a distance.
I can shoot real good.
Yeah, that's it. That's how that works.
But yeah,
And all guys wear leather.
and all guys wear leather.
That's their sleeper agent.
So the scene where Dementis, I can't remember what was going. Oh, he had the like leader of Gastown held hostage.
Yeah.
But it was like attached to him as well. I'm like, you're gonna hurt yourself as well?
He doesn't
He
think.
rips off his nipples.
Yeah. Because he's an idiot.
It was so funny.
Sure does.
I know. I was like, oh, owie. That is not pleasant.
Yeah, no. Because he's a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
Which is evident how he runs Gastown.
Also, the like underground people
Oh.
at Immortan Joe's, the body farm, body collection.
Gotta eat somehow.
Oh my god.
Gotta eat somehow.
That was horrible. That was horrible. And it was so funny too, because when the scene starts, like you see like the like bugs on her and stuff. And I'm like, oh my god. And Mark was like, no, they clean it. So at first I was like, oh, okay, so maybe they're like helping her. No, absolutely not.
But the bugs are, yeah, like if you are injured or in some way or something, and like you don't want it to get infected,
Yeah.
maggots, because maggots eat dead skin.
Yeah.
And dead and things that are going to become necrotic.
Yeah.
So it keeps it good for longer. Fun fact: if you ever end up in the woods somehow with a giant gash in some part of your body,
But where are you supposed to obtain maggots? Like, where do they come from? They just like
Dirt.
spawn. I never understood that. Like things like that with certain bugs.
you could also just kind of like if you're bleeding out, also you can like shove mud.
Yeah, you just pack it so it's not
so it stops
flowing out of
bleeding,
you.
yeah. Fun times. You got to do really shitty things if you want to live sometimes. But yeah. So let's see. What else? I'm trying to think of like other beats of that movie. that I remember. But honestly, I can't think of any.
It was like I will say I was surprised that it's already I think I said this the other day that it's already on HBO Max.
Yeah, I think I mentioned this when I watched it, where I was like, they were like, "Oh, 8 weeks, it'll be out on digital," and everyone was like, "Stop it!"
Like,
because it didn't make money.
Why? But they're not even giving it a chance to make money. You know,
Because studios hate money, even though they love money.
like I feel like studios, for them, it's like, unless this isn't like a literal record breaking, like, box opening, like, first weekend movie, like, they just throw in the towel.
Even if it is.
But it's like, it's just
Sometimes they still are like 8 weeks.
it's just so stupid to me, because I'm like, you can still give it a chance to make money. Like, hearsay still exists, you know?
Yep. No, I know. But like, I don't fucking
Like,
I don't
let
get
people hype the movie up and let, like, normies go and see it. People who aren't, like, chronically online, you know?
it. Yeah.
I just don't understand. It's, like, just such a stupid marketing strategy to me.
Yeah, I mean, everyone complains about it. But, here we are for some reason.
I think studios are gonna hopefully realize, and I'm hoping we get, like, mid budget movies again.
We won't.
That's what I want.
I mean, yeah, you hope that the pendulum swings back at some point. And there are movies that are doing well at mid-budget, but, like, realistically, it seems like mid-budget's just going to keep being stuck to indie movies at this point.
And horror.
Yeah, and horror.
Yeah.
So,
R.I.P.
yeah.
R.I.P.
Well, it's like, because it's funny. I've been going through all the James Bond movies and looking at, like, the budgeting for each one as they go on in time.
Yeah.
Because it's like the first 3 movies were like single digit millions,
Right.
and then
But they also came out, like,
in the 60s.
yeah.
And then the 4th movie, because all 3 movies did so well, the 4th movie was more budget than the previous 3 combined.
Wow.
And then there's like movie number like 12 was more budget than the first 8 movies combined. Because like they're just like, every time they get more money, they're like, fuck it, more money into it.
Well, here's a question. With the more money, right, that they're putting into, let's say, as the franchise continues, do you feel like the movies are getting better?
It's give or take.
You know what I mean?
It kind of depends. Some of the stories are just kind of
Like, I feel like my opinion.
gadgets get cooler, and like the effects get better, but
Right.
like sometimes the stories aren't good enough to carry that.
Oh,
addition.
gotcha.
Like Moonraker is not great. It is probably like the second worst out of what I've watched so far. How many have I watched right now?
How many James Bond movies
27.
are there? 27?
Technically 25, because 2 of them aren't made by the people, but like 27. 27 movies involving the character of James Bond.
That's
25 in canon. Because, the Bond movie canon is just, you don't ask, they don't tell.
I was going to say, it doesn't seem like it's that important.
It's not. It's like, sure, they
Wouldn't
could
it
all
be
be
like,
the same
like
guy.
like an anthology series?
Yeah, like, I mean, it's like they could all be the same guy. They could all not. It doesn't really matter.
Right.
Either way.
It's not
if
like...
you want the guy to have done all of this, that's fine. It doesn't really conflict in any way.
Right.
If you want it to be each just a new person taking over the mantle of 007 and James Bond,
Right.
like those are just both code names, then sure, doesn't really matter.
Gotcha.
But yeah, there's 25 in canon, quote unquote. 27 total, and I have now watched about 50%. But like Moonraker is the most recent one that I've watched, and I think it has like the most budget, and like you could tell there's models and stuff of like all the stuff, and it takes place in space. The reason why they made this one was because Star Wars did so well, and they were like, because they were originally
So they have James Bond in space?
because they were originally gonna do For Your Eyes Only, and then Encounters with the Third Kind and Star Wars did super well. And they were like, all right, never mind. We'll put For Your Eyes Only After. We're moving Moonraker up. And Moonraker's like about a dude who's building a space station who's going to like have a bunch of people there that he views as like perfect to repopulate the Earth. And he's going to wipe out everyone on the Earth and then send their kids down once they're all like older in the supreme race. And so all the villains' plans are fucking insane.
So I will say I've never watched a James Bond movie, but I understand like James Bond as like
The quintessential English hero.
Exactly. Like I understand him
suave and fucks everybody
through pop culture, you know. So in my mind, I've always imagined like a James Bond plot to be like suave, handsome guy who does some like pew pew fight kick.
Yeah.
And then
that is what happens.
But like I don't know why, but in my brain I picture them to be like low stakes, small scale stories.
No, it's the British government's secret agent service. He's always doing stuff to save the world.
Would you say James Bond is similar in terms of like scale to like Mission Impossible, or is it like more?
Well, yeah, I mean every mission that he's sent on is a world-saving mission.
Oh, okay.
Like this bad guy just
I don't know that.
This bad guy just stole nukes. You got to stop him. This bad guy is trying to pit America versus and Russia against each other during Cold War. You got to stop them.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, like
okay.
He is the British Secret Service like special agent man. He is there to solve the world-ending problems.
Gotcha.
And the first lot of movies are all extremely sexist. As you would think.
I'm not surprised.
Extremely racially not cool. And just so many stereotypes. But like, you're watching these things and you're like, this dude just banged this girl. And then like someone was about to shoot him and he just grabs her and rolls over and she gets shot instead. And he's like, that was truly a waste of fine wine. And then he walks over and he's like, new woman walks in and he's like, hey. And she's like, and she's like, oh, James. And then they're begging.
So every woman is in love with him.
Dude, even if they're on the enemy's team.
Gotcha.
Most of the time they are on the enemy's team, and he like seduces them and then gets the information out of her and then is like, cool, bye, thanks. They like, yeah, he bangs everybody. And it doesn't matter what's going on. He walks up to like women at the hotels he's supposed to be staying in. It's like, what's a room for Bond, please? And then they're like, oh, here you are. And, you're in room whatever. And then like he'll start walking away, and the desk lady will be like, and she's like, and like you can tell her thought is like, I'm gonna walk to his room later. Damn. And it's like 70-year-old Sean Connery.
That's so funny.
Bangs everyone. I was asking Anthony this. Mm-hmm. I was like, would you have sex with James Bond? Any Bond? He was like, I don't know, probably not like Connery or Moore because they're like old. And I was like, no. The older they are, that means the more that they've been having sex. You cannot be banging women 24/7 and not be good at sex.
Right, but I feel like you reach a certain physical capability threshold.
Apparently not. He's banging women left and right at 70 in these movies. So like,
well, I guess he'd be in good shape.
Yeah. So
like that's why I guess being in shape is a requirement.
So like, I was like, would you bang James Bond? I'm like, absolutely. Like for me, totally. That dude's gotta be so good at laying pipe.
I feel like he has to have. He either one has every trick in the book, right?
He's gotta. Or
he just is like very tantalizing and appealing, and women are like, let me get some. And then could you imagine after every experience, the women are like, it was fine.
No, because every time he goes to leave, they're like, no, please. They should like, no, please, or like, please show me the world again.
Oh
or
my
like,
God, that's so funny.
So no, he's clearly fantastic in bed.
So overall, is it like Mission Impossible? Like how I said, Mission Impossible feels very like male fantasy, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
that's what I'm picturing in my brain.
I mean, yeah. Every opening,
I've just not seen them.
Every
so I don't
opening
really know.
title sequence has nude women, but they're always like silhouetted. So like,
so it's classy.
Yeah, like So you don't like see the titty, but like you could tell that they're nude the way that
right.
the boobs aren't like smoothly broad and whatnot.
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
And there's never really any like on purpose nudity in the movies themselves. Because at the time when they wanted, at the time even when they wanted nudity in the movies, the
Probably weren't allowed
yeah,
to.
the studio, like the version of, I forget what the fuck it was called back then, but because it wasn't the MPAA. That's not it. What the fuck is it? Whatever the fuck the rating system is now.
I know what you mean.
Yeah,
but
with the rating system for back then, which I'm forgetting the fucking name of it,
Yeah.
sucked even more. And you weren't allowed to do like anything.
well, yeah, it was way more. I guess strict is the word.
Yeah, it was way more strict.
Yeah.
So even when they wanted nudity, the codes were like, no.
Because I just watched Psycho the other day, and I noticed even in that.
Yeah.
Well, that was 59, so right around the same time as like
You know
the
that
early
they were gonna say no to that movie because there was a flushing toilet in that movie.
Really?
Yeah, the flushing toilet was considered obscene and against code. It's the first movie to have a flushing toilet.
That's what was obscene about the movie?
Well, they got away with the blood because it was not
Black
blood.
and white.
It was
Yeah.
it was black and white, and they were like, no, it's not fake blood. It's chocolate sauce, which it was. So that's how they got rid of it. Literally, what was stopping them was the toilet.
That's so funny.
That's how stupid those rules were. Like, there's one scene where he meets up with a chick underwater, and they decide to have sex underwater, and they go down, but like behind a rock, and then they were like gonna have her bikini top float up, and they were like, nope, can't do that. That's too scandalous.
Too suggestive.
Yeah, and it's like, yeah, them just floating down's not suggestive, but like whatever. But so anyway,
That's so funny.
banging everybody. There's like a few instances of nudity, but like it was not on purpose, and just it kind of ended up in the film. Like in one of the Connery movies, he walks up with this really hot lady on a beach, and she's just like tanning there, and like he walks up and she's like, "Oh, Mr. Bond," and he's like, my dear," and then rips her top off and then goes to start strangling her for information with it. And like for a few seconds, like her just bare titties out.
Yeah.
Before she, like the actress like gets her hand in the right place to cover it.
Right.
And then like there's stuff like that, or like through like those shower glass doors that are like frosted, like you could kind of tell.
Right.
Stuff
Right.
like
I'm
that.
picking up what you're putting down.
Yeah. But like there's usually never straight up like intentional nudity person there, just like
Right.
tits out.
Right.
But yeah, he can bang anybody, will bang anybody, and he could say fucking anything to them, and the women would be like, "Oh, James," and yeah, they are ridiculous, but super fun, like insane how stupid they are. There's certain stunts too, which are like famous stunts, but like are also so stupid. Because, like, there's one where a car goes into an alley, and the alley's too thin to fit a car going, like, regular. So he goes off a ramp and goes in, like, sideways.
Okay.
Like, riding the tire, which is a thing you can do.
Right.
Stunt people have done it. But they go in, and you could tell that the coverage they got for the exiting of the alleyway, they didn't think about which way the car went in. So the car goes in on its right tires and
comes
leaves
out.
the alley on its left tires.
LOL.
Which clearly couldn't have happened. So they add an insert shot where even though the alley can't fit a car going sideways, they just took footage that was like this and then went like that with the footage, so that way it explains how it swapped sides.
That's so funny.
There's a really famous shot that it's the first time a computer was used to help a stunt. They helped the computer was not like used to like CGI it. It was helped to do the math to figure out if it could be done.
Oh, okay.
And they ran like simulations to see if they could do it. Which is a car going off a stunt, and it's like corkscrews and lands on the other side. And also, fun fact, nobody wanted to do that because they were pretty sure they were all going to die. And so a random cameraman was like, "I'll do it."
But also, I feel like I guess up until like fairly recently, I would say in like the past 30 years, stunts in movies, they were just doing anything. And there was like almost no safety protocols.
Yeah.
They were like, if we can do it, let's just see what happens.
Literally, they were like, for that corkscrew jump, they were like, we're going to have 9 cameras running. Oh my God. Don't fuck it up.
Good luck.
Yeah. And he was like, all right. And he did it in one.
That's crazy.
But yeah, they. Where were they going? Oh, right. So like, yeah, but all right. So anyway, that stunt happens. They slow it down because it went too fast for regular eyes. But they add a fucking slide whistle. So goes for the jump. Silence. They cut the music. You see it happening, and then you hear the.
Like in a cartoon?
Like the slide whistle as it's doing the spin and lands, and you're like, what the fuck is that?
That's
like, so it like immediately undercuts how
right.
cool
It makes it
is.
so unserious.
And you're like, this is just so dumb. And then like, yeah, I don't know.
Maybe that was cool at the time.
Yeah.
You know, because you had sound effects, if that makes sense.
Right. But like, honestly, they're pretty fun. They're worth watching. For the most part. I mean, I haven't watched all of them yet, but like, I feel like you'd get a kick out of it. You'd get a kick out of it because I feel like would be like, that's how he got laid. Like, these women are insane.
Yeah.
There's a few women that are like supposed to be badasses, like head of the like fucking KGB, like another like top spy in the KGB
right.
or top spy in the CIA, and yet somehow they're still also damsels in distress.
Of course.
And then like they have their moment where they do kick somebody's ass, but it's like they've just been spent the whole other movie prior to this getting their ass kicked until the end where they finally
I
fight
will
somebody.
say Mission Impossible, like when they have women that are badasses, they do be staying badasses.
Well, it's because it's today times. They
well,
can't get
I
away
know,
with not
but,
doing that.
But you know, like
Which I said get away. They shouldn't have to get away with it.
right.
But like back then,
no, if you
women,
were
they don't matter.
If you were a female on screen, you were most likely a damsel in distress.
Yeah. And you had to be extremely hot.
Yeah.
Exceedingly hot.
Exceedingly.
Which, to be fair, all the women in the Bond movies are exceedingly hot. And yeah, there's like, I don't know, they're very fun and they're so stupid. They're so absurd.
Is it like good turn off your brain? You know, like just fun action, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but it's all even funner to like actually pay attention.
Oh, okay.
Because like sometimes shit makes no sense and you're like, huh? And, like it makes it funnier. Yeah, I don't know. It's just like I'm trying to think of like. So. I don't know. It's crazy. There's one where he like goes to Japan and it's like the most painful version of like showing the Japanese culture off.
Oh, is it
And
like,
you're like
extremely like stereotypical?
Yeah.
Oh,
There's like a scene.
I'm already picturing.
There's a scene where like there's like the Japanese guys walking Bond into like his house, and he's like, and like they're going into like a bath, and he's like. And the like women start like undressing him or whatever, and the like Japanese guy sitting there, and he's like, "Don't worry, Mr. Bond. In Japan, the women always come second. Men are always first." And you're like, and he's like, "I should move here, I guess." And you're like, "Oh boy."
Yikes. Yikes.
But they're also so fun. They're just have not aged well.
Yeah.
But like when you like. You know, set aside the fact of the racism and the sexism, what's there is still pretty enjoyable.
Look, I'm someone who I personally do not believe in censoring older media.
Oh yeah, no. Just put that warning before shit and go.
Yeah, and because you remember I don't know if you remember this when HBO Max, when it was still HBO Max, they had Gone with the Wind on it.
Yeah, I watched that on HBO Max.
And there was
just the warning prior, and people were mad about it being there.
No, people were saying that they shouldn't have the movie on the platform because it's this, that, the other thing. And I'm like, but I feel like not including it is worse.
Well, yeah, Disney does the not including thing, and that's worse.
Which I just don't understand it because I'm like, why? Because pretending like that never happened is not the solution.
Yeah.
Like, I agree.
You put that warning of, hey, this no longer represents our company's values.
Exactly. Put the warning just being like, hey, this was made in a time period that we had no control over. We are just presenting to you. Because I think when you start losing media, it's like, has history not taught us anything?
Which goes back to we're losing media now because everything's on fucking digital and they don't release physicals. And
Exactly.
when something starts selling terribly, Disney removed like a bunch of shit off their platform that you can just never find.
I just don't understand it. Like, I think unless you have zero like critical thinking skills and you can't understand that this was created in a different time where
Like nobody's
the
watching
general
that
rules
being
of
like,
life.
we need this, and like, or let me rephrase. Anybody that is watching the movie going, we need this time back, has already been a lost cause anyway. The movie's not going to change them for the worse.
Right,
Like,
right.
They're already ignoring anything else.
But I think to pretend like that never happened because some people think that that's icky behavior, which, yes, it's not great behavior, but to act like that didn't happen at all and everybody is so virtuous now, it's just fake, you know? Like,
Yeah.
it drives me crazy.
It's just like, you know, it doesn't make any sense. It's like pretending that, you know, to draw from my own.
If you don't
thing.
learn
It's like
from
being-
history, you're doomed
yeah.
to repeat it.
It's like trying to pretend that, like, you know, back when the railroads were being built, it's like, you know, Irish and Italians weren't being discriminated, and it's like, no, that didn't happen. Let's pretend that didn't happen, and we'll just only show the parts of all that being good.
Right.
And it's like, no. You got to include the bad so people know what to be better at. Like,
yeah, so you can understand the reason, like, how a society progresses. You can't just be like, oh, we were good this whole time.
yeah.
Because that's not true. People
Also,
aren't
like,
stupid.
Gone with the Wind, problematic movie. Also, an insanely influential movie, and incredibly well made. Like, it's like you shouldn't watch that movie and be like, this movie's right.
That's what I'm
But like,
saying.
as a movie, it is a masterpiece.
Yeah, like I think to try and get rid of media, especially something that's that high profile of a movie, just because current views obviously don't align with what that movie is portraying.
Yeah.
I think it's a disservice to creating something in general.
Yeah, again, it's like you can go into that movie and be like, this is still a masterpiece, but God, didn't age well.
Like, are
Like-
people, could you imagine if, let's say, tomorrow a news article came out being like, Picasso was a bad person and he did X, Y, and Z in his lifetime. Do you think people are going to be like, I don't like his art anymore, we should cancel Picasso? Like, his art would still be extremely influential. You know what I mean?
I was going to say people would do that, though.
But you know what I'm saying? Like, are we just going to take his paintings out of museums now?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's just stupidity, you know?
But there's like, it's a give and take because those people also it's the same thing where you're like, you're walking a line because the people that are like, don't take down the Confederate statues because they're also a thing of history, have the same argument.
Right.
And you're like, like, my point of view is like on that subject is like, take them down, but like put them in a museum.
I agree.
Like, I don't think you should put them in like storage, like what they did with like just put them in a museum and just have the warnings like, hey, this was made for a different thing, but like it was still art made by somebody, and it's been standing on a statue in a famous town for hundreds of years.
Yeah, I agree. I personally like I
Mostly because I just think preserving art in any
I
capacity is
believe
important.
strongly in preserving art. I believe strongly in preserving actual history,
Yeah.
not this revisionist from our current lens type of view on history,
Yeah.
because
Like
that does a disservice not only to us now but to future generations. Because if we're gonna go and pretend like these things didn't happen and everything was so great, like,
yeah, because it's the you know, the Teddy Roosevelt statue in front of the Natural History Museum, the one that had the Native Americans,
yeah,
that they took down, and now it's just in storage in some warehouse in I think his state
yeah.
or something. And it's like, look, it's a problematic statue, but I still think, like, yes, if you don't want it in front of the
Right.
museum, understood, fair. But like, put it somewhere that could still be seen, and just have the warning in front of it, being like, "Hey, obviously this is not a great depiction, but like, it still has a historical significance
Yeah.
It sat in front of the Natural History Museum for
Yeah.
years and was representative and whatever. You don't explain
Yeah.
why it is problematic, because it is.
Right.
But it's still a work of art that should not just be hidden.
I agree.
Obviously, there are lines to that. Like,
I mean, yes,
But-
obvious. I
it's not a
understand.
catch-all statement.
I understand the whole thing of like separating the art from the artist kind of a thing. And obviously, yes, there's lines in that as well. But in terms of like historical pieces, or even if an artist was problematic, if they still influenced a generation of other artists, that original artist name should not be gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because even if they are a problematic person, if they did not exist and create what they did, these other 20 people up and coming now would also not be a thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Look at most people in the movie franchise. Most people in movies, terrible people.
Right.
But they influenced everything you love now,
Right.
for the most part. So, like, anyone that you could think of probably was not a great person. But
I'm also of the belief that once you get to a certain point of power and success and adoration and influence, no matter how good and humble you start, you cannot stay like that. Because, and I'm not saying that you turn into a bad person by default, but I don't think you can be the person you once were when you were first starting.
oh well, yeah. I mean,
Because
it's either you are, but now you just never because I feel like it's one of two ways. Like, well, I don't know. I'd say three, because there are still some people that do manage to pull that off, to be
Right.
like the same person, at least exteriorly.
right.
Whether they are in private, who knows? But it's like the people that are like, I want to still be me, so you will never see me outside of press junkets.
Right. I think for me at least, I always believe like if you're either an artist or like a creator who's primarily offline, but you're like, hey, I dropped something.
Yeah.
Like Kendrick Lamar, for example, he's super offline, but he'll be like on Twitter being like, hey, here's my new album or whatever.
Or fuck Drake.
Or fuck Drake, right. But most of the fuck Drake was, hey, I dropped another diss track.
It's true.
You know what I mean? So and then when he does release stuff, it's very revealing about himself.
Right.
But I would be really surprised if in 10, 15 years, we start getting articles about Kendrick Lamar being a piece of shit secretly.
Right.
You know what I mean? Versus articles of Drake being a piece of shit, people aren't really surprised. And he's super online.
Yeah. And he just seems like a piece of shit anyway.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know.
Again, it's like the Tom Cruise thing, where it's like, for the most part, insane man seems like a good dude. Really, the Scientology thing that holds him back.
I think Tom Cruise has been insane,
Oh yeah.
has been staying insane.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to change.
Nope.
I respect him for
He does a lot of good things. But he's also insane.
what he's done in terms of like filmmaking and stunts and his presence as an actor and blah blah blah, all that bullshit. I am not a fan of Tom Cruise. I don't personally care, but it's not like I can say, oh well, he doesn't matter.
Yeah, it goes back to that whole thing of like, bad person, great contributions. Like when Tom Cruise dies, if like a flood of things came out that he is just the worst person you've ever known, you cannot deny the general good he has done for cinema.
It's like when Kobe passed away, right? When I tell you right after, on the same day that it was announced that he got into the helicopter crash, people on Twitter were posting tweets being like, oh, well, in 2000, he did this. Did y'all forget? I'm like...
It's a James Gunn argument where they were like, do you see that stuff that he posted about when he was a shock art director? And it was like, well, no shit, he was posting that stuff.
And I'm sorry, but I thought that was extremely
Everybody did.
distasteful. Like,
It was like, yeah, he did when he was making shock movies and that was 10, 15 years ago. He's a different person now.
Yeah, like I just always that actually riles me up. You know?
It goes back to like the one thing I agree with boomers on, where it's like you can't, you like, it was easier to live a life pre-internet because nobody was following you around with a camera at all times to like.
Oh, not even that nobody is following you around with a camera at all times. I think the absolute flood of just constantly available information and updates about anybody.
Yeah.
If
And,
you're
like,
in the public eye.
And in some ways, some people are like, yeah, but that's good because now you can always know if someone's a good or bad person. Like, they can't hide it. And it's like, yes, but also, like, the dumb shit you did when you were 16 should not be something that you have, that, like, will...
That you should be getting canceled.
Yeah, that'll dethrone you when you're 38.
Right.
Like, dude, I mean, it's an ongoing joke on the internet. It's like, oh, the group chat got leaked.
Yeah.
Like, most people have said some stupid shit, especially when you're a teenager and you're just like coming into like realizing you have power, quotations there.
You have 100 followers on Twitter.
Yeah, or whatever, or like, you know, and you're just like saying shit because you're like, it doesn't matter, it doesn't affect anybody because you haven't learned. There's just some shit you shouldn't say. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, like, but it's like, you know, back when the internet wasn't a thing, you didn't have to worry about that.
Yeah.
Now you do, but you don't think about worrying about it because you're at that age. And then when you're all of a sudden 28 and you're like, oh, this shit's online forever.
Yeah.
You know, like it sucks. You know, and again, like whether you view that as a way to hold someone accountable, whatever, but like it's just, even if you say something at 30 and you're now 55, you're probably a different person. I mean, short of being like a straight up racist, you're probably not getting rid of that.
Right.
Which I'm not saying you can't, but less likely to have changed from then to then.
Right.
But like, it's just like, I don't know. Again, and especially context matters, especially with things like with James Gunn, where it's like he was in shock movies. That was his whole fucking thing. Of course, he's releasing statements on Twitter that are just like the grossest shit.
Right.
Because that's his brand.
Yeah.
That's how he sells his shit.
Right.
And then he got out of that and went, all right, I don't know if you feel any of this anymore, but like I'm not like he didn't delete it because like whatever.
Yeah.
It's just like that's there.
Because why does he care to?
Right.
He's probably like, I don't think James Gunn is sitting at home being like, oh, let me analyze my Twitter output.
Yeah, let me go through my tweets from 10 years ago.
Exactly. Like the man doesn't. It's out of his life now.
Yeah. It's just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's one of those things.
I agree.
Yeah,
I agree.
It's just one of those things where you're like, look, people can do horrible things and still have like contributions that you can say positively. And you can say that about almost anything, no matter how tragic it is. Usually there are benefits that come out of the worst things. And that's not to say that those overshadow what happened. But like for basically anything, there's usually some kind of plus that happened from like, you could be like, oh, hey, the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory. Net negative.
Yeah.
Put fire escapes everywhere.
Yeah.
So, like, there's always some kind of positive that, like, you should keep this thing in history because then you can learn the downsides to it. Like, hey, this thing happened. So many people died. Now we have safety codes, like unions, fire code stuff. It's like, you know, you keep all of that in history to learn from. That way you know why all the things that you have now happened.
Right. Like, you can't just be like, oh, we have it so good now and it's always been so good.
Yeah.
You know?
So, I don't know.
Yeah, no, I feel that, though. It's just...
James Bond.
James Bond. I might watch them, but I have to finish watching Mission Impossible.
Yeah, but, like, because if you want, because I own them.
Mission Impossible?
No, well, no.
The 27 James Bond movies?
All but, like, I think the most recent two. Also, technically, I only have 25. Those two that aren't like in canon, they didn't release
only
them.
Have 25. I can't believe it's that many. I always thought in my head, like, how many Daniel Craig ones are there?
5.
I thought in my brain, I always thought it was like 3 per guy.
No, so there's 5 Craigs. there are 4 Brosnans.
Pierce Brosnan.
Yeah.
He's
there-
aging like fine wine.
He really is.
by the
That
way.
beard really did wonders for him.
Like,
I'm so annoyed that we'll probably never get him as Kent Nelson again for Dr. Fate. The
Yeah.
only good thing about that Black Adam movie was the JSA.
mm.
He was a perfect Dr. Fate. That man looked incredible.
He looked so good.
Oh my god.
And I want you to know that I don't remember a single thing that happened in the Black Adam movie. I watched the whole thing. Couldn't tell you a single thing, but I remember him.
He was incredible.
I remember him and what's his name? Noah Centineo.
Yeah.
Did he turn into like a big guy?
Yeah, he was Atom Smasher.
Yeah, I remember him because I thought he was annoying.
Yeah.
Like, no shade, but I feel kind of bad for Noah Centineo. I feel like he's getting very much pigeonholed in like his typecasting. And I'm like, I know you're not a bad actor, but like, you got to move on from this same role every single movie, bro.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Like, it was fine in what is it, like, To All the Boys I Loved or whatever, because I'm like, yeah, that's fine, it's a teen rom-com, but then he never got a chance to not be that teen rom-com role, if that
Right.
makes sense. And I'm like,
Although, speaking of people always playing the same role, Dan Stevens always just being the hot British guy. He's not actually playing the hot British guy, but he's just hot.
wait, who's Dan
He's
Stevens?
not. He's not British. He's American. Dan Stevens.
What does he look like?
Oh God, one sec. Also,
I'm really bad with names.
It's not 3 per. By the way, because it's because
No, that
Connery
was my
did.
assumption.
Connery did like 7.
Oh my god.
Moore did also 7. And then what the fuck is your name again? Timothy Dalton did, I think, 2 or 3.
I feel like this guy's face is familiar.
Dan Stevens.
He was the Beast. I mean, yeah, technically, but like he was the human version of the Beast.
In
Beauty and the Beast.
in the live action one?
Yeah.
Dan Stevens was in that movie? Don't tell me
As
that.
the
I don't wanna have
prince.
to watch that movie.
It's okay. Don't watch that movie.
I love Dan Stevens.
Hold on. What else has he been in? Because I feel
So
like
many
I
things.
don't know this man, but I also do.
Dan Stevens is incredible. Dan Stevens is the best part of any movie, usually. Like, I watched Cuckoo
Yeah,
recently. Best part of that movie.
I see.
Although Hunter Schafer.
Hunter.
Also,
Heather?
I couldn't
That
remember.
was really close, though.
To be fair, she's been in like 2 things, and I haven't watched one of them
I guess that's
because
fair.
I haven't watched Euphoria.
That's fair.
But she's incredible in that movie. Also,
Oh yeah.
her and Dan Stevens carry that movie entirely.
I just want you to know
You've never seen The Apostle or The Guest or King Kong versus Godzilla, the newest one.
I was watching that, but like I personally have no investment or care for Godzilla movies.
He's the dentist. He was the one that replaces Kong's tooth.
Sure.
He's it throughout the movie. I mean, you can't miss him.
I guess I know who you're talking about, but like he didn't strike me in any way.
This woman doesn't care about Dan Stevens.
I'm sorry.
I can't believe
Don't
this.
come after me.
You should. They should. Everybody go after her. Dan Stevens is a treasure. Dan Stevens is fantastic.
Okay.
Love Dan Stevens.
I'll take your word for it. I didn't like him in Beauty and the Beast.
Yeah, well, that movie's terrible.
That movie is terrible.
The fact that we're getting another goddamn live action fucking Lion King. I'd be somewhat interested
It's
in
a prequel, right?
Yeah. I'd be somewhat interested in Mufasa if it was animated.
Well, it is animated.
2D animated.
I know what you mean, but them calling Lion King live action,
I know.
like,
I know.
get
That's-
the fuck out of
Could
here.
you not hear the heavy quotes in my live action?
I can't.
know.
I can't.
But
I'm honestly so done with Disney, and I feel bad for Star Wars, MCU. They just got sucked in.
it's just like at this point I'm there and I'll just keep watching it. But like God, the DCU can't come fast enough.
Yeah.
Um, I'm so waiting for because I've always been more of a DC guy anyway. I've just been getting fucking shafted. Forever.
The past 10 years for DC
Especially
in terms
for
of
me,
film output.
Especially for me because I don't like the Nolan movies, so I don't really even get a win.
Oh, so you don't even get to have like the Christian Bale like Dark Knight.
I got Pattinson.
Oh my god! Wow, you really have been in the dumps.
And Reeves.
And Reeves.
So I've got nothing.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate actually. Because
Yeah.
like I'm at least someone where like I don't really feel strongly DC over Marvel in terms of like the general content and characters.
Yeah.
Because I kind of just like both. But in terms of like film output and television and things like that, like yes, Marvel has been doing better. And at this point with DC, I'm like, I actually want the DCU to do well because it's just been so horrible for them that I feel bad for them at this point.
I really need it to do well. I
want them to have a good rollout. Like
Same.
have a good promo.
I trust in Gunn. Everything I've seen out of him and statements he said about general things he's been doing for the DCU, I'm very positive.
I trust in Gunn as well. I think he's a great creative to have as like your head.
And the fact, and I will give him infinite credit for the fact that he what's the word I'm looking for here? He continuously promotes comics that are currently coming out, influencing the things. The fact that he puts the comics that are an influence of the movies in the trailers at the end, love him to death for that shit.
Yeah, that's cool.
That should be the way that it is. But yeah, I'm hoping it's good. And I'm also really annoyed because Acolyte got confirmed that it's not getting a season 2.
I saw that.
Because all the fucking people that are goddamn losers and hate women ruined the show. And so it's not getting more. And I'm like, that show, look, I think the twins were pretty bland.
Yeah.
Not going to lie. They were kind of boring. But everything else about that show was pretty cool.
But aren't they the main characters?
Yeah, but look, Soul was a great character. The fights were fantastic.
Right.
The villain was great, super interesting.
The hot guy?
Yeah, the hot guy.
Sorry, I literally only watched one episode, so
there's potential there. And I can't say,
maybe I watched 2.
I can't say whether or not the woman that plays the main character is, because I've never seen her in anything else, so I don't know.
She was Rue in Hunger Games.
Was she? Is that the same person? Okay, well I have seen her in something else, but
that's
she's
when she was
a vastly different person now.
Young. That's when she was obviously much younger.
Yeah. So I'm not gonna hold her acting up to Rue.
Yeah.
So I don't know how good of an actor she is. So it might be a direction thing. I don't know. She's kind of bland. That's a bummer. But everything else about that show, I would have loved to get another season out of. Sadly, that's not happening.
Is she bland because her delivery is bland, or is she bland because her writing is bland?
Yes.
I feel like that's an important distinction.
Yes.
Or both.
Yes, but I don't know if it's because of her direction.
Oh, I am picking up what you're putting down.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know if it's... like, I'm not... because I've not seen her in enough things to be
right.
I don't think she's a good actress. I think it might be a direction thing. I don't know. Because other people were good, but also there were some incredibly stupid lines. Some of the dialogue in there was rough. So, who knows? But God, the fights were so fucking cool. I don't know. I'm annoyed about it, and also people think that they're gonna remove Acolyte from the streaming service because they took all the merchandise out of the store, and the last time they did all that, they removed the show from the streaming too, which meant you couldn't find it anymore.
But see, I don't even understand doing that because even projects that like in the past have flopped, right? You can still have merchandise. You can still have it available because it's not.
Yeah, let
like
the haters buy it and burn it. They still bought it.
Some people will still enjoy it.
It was fun. I would say net positive.
Like, I just don't understand this deletion nonsense.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because isn't that just a net negative to Disney? Like, great, you wasted all of this time and money, And just because it wasn't a roaring success, you won't even give it a chance?
Apparently.
Like, oh no, the haters scared you offline. Like, you're a multi-million trillion dollar company. Like, get over yourselves.
Yeah. It's just,
You know?
I don't know. It bothers me. It annoys me. Let's wrap it up there. We can get into this another time.
Are we not going to do an outro?
We are. I'll just take my headphones off.
Oh, that was so weird. I was like, okay, that's just where we're ending it.
Yeah, we're just hard cut. Let's wrap this up. Ends. I don't even put in credits. That's it. And when there's no show next week.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
The podcast is
Hard
done.
cut done.
Like no nothing. It's just hard cut out, no credits, and then there's nothing ever again.
It's like when Top Gear, when Jeremy left the show, and they, instead of saying goodnight, they said goodbye
Yeah.
at the end of the broadcast.
You know, that's how we're gonna end this podcast. Whenever it's just gonna be goodbye and it hard cuts. Or all right, let's stop there and hard cut, and then nothing else ever again. Anyway, thanks for watching this week's episode of the Vaguely Animated Podcast. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, leave a review, follow. Check out Cat the Moonstar on Twitch. And you have 4 weeks. Fuck. She never confirmed what her show was to me. I think I know. You have 4 weeks to watch 2 seasons of Free.
Splash Free!
And then also 50% off.
Oh, we're watching the
We're gonna. Kat wanted us to sit down and watch it before we record.
what, 50% off?
Yeah,
Okay.
and then we also.
Okay.
So I don't remember if she didn't tell me whether she was committing to 1 or 2 seasons.
Great. So we'll commit for her because it's pretty short in general.
So
I think each season is only 12 episodes.
Yeah. So we're doing 2 seasons, so 24 episodes total, and also 50% off.
Oh my God, I haven't watched Free in so long. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I've never watched it, so.
Oh, it's excellent.
I have watched 50% off though. Oh right, I forgot these are them.
Yeah.
They're just in sailor uniforms for some reason.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching. Don't forget to watch that, and we will see you guys next week for whatever it is we talk about.
Bye.
Bye.